All right, good evening, everyone. This is going to be the Tuesday, November 10th, 2020 meeting of the Economic Matters Committee. So first off, I'd like to do a call to order. Alderman Savage, or Takia, you do the call to order, correct? I did.
You just did it.
All right, well, so Alderman Savage and Finlayson are present. They are standing members. I'd like to welcome Alderwoman Tierney. How are you? Okay, so next role of business is the approval of the agenda. Are there any?
Mr. Chair, move approval of the agenda as written.
I will second that motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously. Up next, so approval of the minutes of the previous minutes. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of the minutes from the October 8th meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, up next, the appointments and reappointments to the committee. The first is the appointment of Tyson Dorman to the Building Board of Appeals. Did everyone get the opportunity to go over his resume?
Yes.
Is Mr. Dorman with us?
Yes, he is just signed on. Mr. Dorman, you are on mute. But,
yes, I am.
Please do unmute yourself. Good evening. Just for my curiosity, could you please share why you are seeking to be on the Board of Appeals?
Well, so I thought it would be a good thing to sort of give back to the community. I've spent about 18 years on and off in the military and currently in the reserves, and I work for the Department of State. So it's something a little bit more local than national or global. And I've been in Annapolis about a little over 10 years at this point. I don't see us going anywhere. So
Excellent.
We figured it'd be sort of the next step.
Excellent. And you have a very impressive resume. So I see you as a welcome addition to the member of the Building Board of Appeals. Takia, for point of order, do we just, I'm sorry, Alderman Savage?
Yeah, I just have a few questions for him, if I may.
Go on. Yes, Mr. Savage.
And thank you, Mr. Dorman, for your interest. And I also am very impressed with your resume. And I'm really glad to see all of the local experience that you have from your work with the Naval Academy. And so I do have one question, though, about do you have, because the Building Board of Appeals will sometimes deal with, obviously dealing with legal questions. Are you familiar with navigating the law and in any of your work previously?
So, I guess, definitely, codes and standards, both municipal and, federal statutes and stuff like that. Not as much law as like a lawyer or somebody in the legal field. But, and not necessarily U.S. law. When I was overseas living in Italy, we dealt a lot with the status of forces agreements. So the laws that we had with other nations. So I've dealt more on the international scale than on the local scale, but not an expert in any means.
Yeah. And so are you familiar with the Annapolis code then at all?
I'm somewhat familiar. I mean, I've kind of, I dabble in it. I really don't do much work in Annapolis other than Naval Academy. And we were kind of on our own little island.
Sure.
But, we still worked a lot with, part of it when I was looking, Sarah Phillips, who was involved in the, at the Naval Academy and also works on historic preservation was in there. And we were kind of talking and Jay Schwartz, I'd worked with on a couple projects there. And I noticed he was on there and I was like, maybe that's something I should consider is kind of get involved more in the local thing. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have the law experience that, from a lawyer standpoint.
Yeah. And would you be comfortable with, because I think this board would also hear appeals for example, like grading permits and that phase of the project. So you feel like you'd be comfortable making decisions and on that particular part of the process?
Yeah, I do. I mean, being on the federal side and the sort of the military side, you do take a stance of what are the rules and regulations, where do they fall? Usually there's not much of a gray area. Usually there's a pretty solid line one way or the other. And if there's a gray area, and that's what the appeals board is, you're sort of looking at what is the gray area, to what extent, what's the precedents behind that you sort of need to follow to make sure that everybody's sort of in the following. We're as a group maintaining the same standards across the board.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a very good answer. And we unfortunately we aren't always very clear with writing the code. So it does often have a gray area to it. And so, I think I think you'd still be able to interpret the intention of the legislators in the underlying code. So anyway, thank you for your comments and for your interest in serving. We'd like to welcome you aboard here soon. Thank you.
Alderwoman Finlayson, do you have any questions for Mr. Dorman?
No, I think Alderman Savage addressed the question I was thinking about with interpretation of the code. So I think I'm satisfied.
Excellent. Alderwoman Tierney, even though you are not a standing member of this committee, would you like to have any questions to Mr. Dorman?
Oh, no, just congratulations. It is a very vital committee in development review, et cetera. So hopefully it all.
All right. All right. With all of that said, can I get a motion for a favorable recommendation for Mr. Dorman for this appointment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Congratulations, Mr. Dorman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Up next is the appointment of Corey Childs to the Recreation Advisory Board. Mr. Childs, are you currently here?
I am. Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your interest in this position. Again, as my colleagues hope you have got the opportunity to take a look at his application process. Very, very impressive for all this. Would you mind also sharing with the committee why you are interested in this position?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First, thank you for entertaining the opportunity for me to be a part of the recreational board. I'm an Annapolis native who has been connected through sport, and specifically soccer has been my passion since day one. And I'm back in the area after attending University of Georgia and receiving a sport management major as well as a Spanish minor. And currently I am really focused on continuing to make accessible and meaningful programs that benefit the community. And a lot of those, my work deal with recreation and leisure. So all about trying to bring people together through using sport as a vehicle, not just soccer, and strengthening the bonds that we have here in Annapolis.
With soccer, I see you're the general manager of the Annapolis Soccer Club. How long have you been in that position?
Sure, 4 years now. So I moved back to Maryland in 2015 after a brief stint in Memphis, Tennessee. Got reconnected with my soccer acquaintances and have been serving as the general manager of Annapolis Soccer Club, which is a youth recreation program for the last 4 years. So fall of 2016.
Excellent. Thank you for answering my questions, Childs. Committee members, do any of you have questions for Mr. Childs?
I do have a question. Mr. Childs, as a coach, do you ever do any activities out of our recreation center? That would be Pip Moyer.
Yes, ma'am. Through Annapolis Soccer Club, we offer a fall, winter, and spring program. We're actually predominantly next door at the Salvation Army for our winter program, but this past season, because we've grown the league significantly since being a part or since my involvement, we had to have some carryover space to the Pitt Moyer Center, which was great, and trying to establish a really good relationship with Lakeisha who's over there, and Katie Owings, who are over there. And we've also done some city events, community events. The Drug-Free All-Stars softball game is something that we've attended in years past, and we put on a free clinic for kids as they attend that event. And we also have partnered with Pass Pick and Play, who has put on sporting goods equipment, handout. And we've also offered clinics during those within the Pitt Moyer Center.
Okay, so do you see any potential conflict with your use of our facility and as a board member?
No, ma'am, I do not. In fact, I'd like to try to strengthen the bonds that we have and come up with ways, not only as ourselves as a community partner, but other sporting organizations can also continue to make great usage of that facility and or the others that we have inside the Annapolis area.
Well, I think it would be great to have a practitioner such as yourself on the board to give that real life experience with dealing with our recreational amenities. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I will continue that just to say that I've also run like an after school program in the city of Annapolis, specifically at Annapolis Middle School for the past 4 years as well, targeting some of the underserved community, really trying to make the game more accessible to them, but at the same time, nurturing life skills through the sport and through the game of soccer. So that's been really positive. And I know the city of Annapolis also has similar ambitions to continue to reach underserved communities and do so with meaningful after-school programs. So I really think there are some great opportunities within the soccer community, but also the recreation community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Childs, again, I'm impressed with your resume as well, and really glad to see that you've studied recreation and you also are continuing to pursue that interest. And you sold me when I saw the Annapolis Soccer Club. My son and wife have been involved in that program, so thank you for everything you do with that program.
Former coach, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's
everything
great.
changed with COVID, but
it has.
Yeah. But one question I have, how familiar are you with the Annapolis Rec and Parks programs? Like, have you had a chance to look at them much in preparation, or what do you have in terms of your plan for preparation for this, for serving?
Sure. I haven't, combed through it with a lot of detail. I try to stay in the know as to things that are going on as it relates to recreation or just the community overall. So whether it's the weekly newsletters that are sent out and or talking with Lakeisha, Dana Strotman, Katie, just to kind of get a understanding of what else is being offered. I'm a little exposed to that. And I would believe coming in and working with the board, I would continue to gain a little bit of awareness, gain additional exposure, and then also try to suggest, positive directions that maybe collectively we could take as a board that would then benefit the community overall.
And I imagine you're used to working with the Hispanic population.
Yeah, I really am passionate about trying to provide the opportunity to perhaps a community that is overlooked and or underserved. So I have done a lot of things within the Spanish-speaking community, but I think anyone that is looking to improve themselves as a person. A lot of us probably have prior sport experience, and I think we would talk about a coach and or team building and or just discipline that we all gain through sport. So I think it's applicable to all different cultures and demographics that we have here in Annapolis.
Great. Thank you. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Savage. Alderman Tierney, do you have any questions you would like to direct to Mr. Chance?
Yeah, I think that your timing couldn't be more advantageous as with COVID, with all the indoor recreational restrictions. We really need to start thinking out of the box on how we get through the winter. And so it's really important that you're involved. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Happy to be. Thank you.
Excellent. Any further questions, colleagues? All right. In that case, may I have a motion to recommend Mr. for a favorable recommendation for Mr. Childs?
So
I'll second it.
Was the phrasing of that not correct, Alderwoman Finlayson? I know you've been a chair longer than I have.
I know that was just fine.
Okay, excellent. Second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Congratulations, Mr. Childs. All right, next on the agenda, general discussion. I trust everyone read the update sent by email from Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Yeah. As we all know, there is going to be a lot of hardship for our businesses, not only downtown, but citywide. We're all here to serve them the best we can. Something that I have been doing, I hope my colleagues have been doing as well, is providing masks that the Office of Emergency Management has acquired to local businesses in my ward. And yeah, does anyone else have items they'd like to add to the general discussion? Yes, Alderman Savage.
Yeah, I was really, first of all, I think this update's incredibly helpful from Mr. Evans, and just to get an idea of what we are doing. But I think the most pertinent issue for me that I'm really concerned about is how he said that they requested a grant from Visit Annapolis, and it was denied. And some of the just marketing material that they're putting out that is really oriented on the county and not the city. I think we need to invite them to a meeting. I don't know if we're going to have another meeting this month or not, but I think we need to have one before the holiday shopping begins, because I just think it's really unacceptable for them not to be providing support for Annapolis. And I'd like to kind of hear from them if there's a reason why, and maybe they are doing things we're not aware of. Maybe Alderwoman Finlayson may know more. Most likely knows more than I in terms of what they've done for the city in the past. And also I'm just curious if do we provide money to that, or is that all just coming from the hotel tax?
I believe that's funded through the city and also the county's hotel tax.
And it's funded through the hotel tax through the state. The state legislature approved, I think it's like a 17% funding or something. We don't give them any money at all that I recall from the city. But I too was very disturbed when I read that in Mr. Evans' report and made a note to him. But I think a letter should go out. I think it's a great idea to invite them to a meeting. This is not the first time the city has been more or less treated like the stepchild within a program that is in our city, named after our city. And we should expect the support from them that we need. So I think inviting them in to have a discussion is a great idea. I see Mr. Rice is on, so he may have a better understanding of their decision not to fund the city, at least the downtown partnership, than I do.
Mr. Rice, would you like to address Alderwoman Finlayson's concerns and questions?
Sure. And hope might have some additional information. But we have been pretty engaged with Visit Annapolis and Anne Arundel County to try to ensure that in recent weeks, especially to try to ensure that the marketing efforts that they have are targeted to help the city, particularly given the challenges that we face right now. And so hoping I do have some information from some recent conversations with them that we will share. Visit Annapolis is specific to the holidays. They are rolling out a press release, a new website. They're doing virtual tours and a holiday guide. They have some promos, which I believe are video promos, some 30-second and 60-second shots. And they have a team of bloggers whose job it is to essentially write about, things that are happening in the city to try to help generate some support. Hope, let me know if I miss anything, but I do think it probably would be a good idea to bring in the folks from Visit Annapolis and maybe do a deeper dive. But we are definitely trying to do our part to make sure that we coordinate, and co-brand any sort of messaging to make sure that we maximize the impact of marketing and branding to benefit the city.
May I ask, Mr. Chair, a question, Mr. Rice?
Yes, ma'am.
We received Mr. Evans' report, and he indicated that he had sought funding, and for some reason I can't remember what it was specifically to be used for, but he was turned down. At the same time, the county, other surrounding areas was being funded. Do you have any idea, or maybe Alderman Schenemeyer or Savage recalls more vividly than I do what that funding was supposed to be for?
I don't remember. I do have Eric's write-up, so I can.
It's like towards the end of his report, I think.
I have it up right now. We reached out, and this is the exact quote from Mr. Evans. We have reached out to Visit Annapolis and requested a marketing grant to promote shopping local in Annapolis for the holidays, but have been denied. I've attached a copy of their holiday ads that show people shopping at Arundel Mills for the holidays. Please use your social media, email, speeches, etc. this year to remind people that they should shop at Annapolis.
So, Mr. Rice, Mr. Rice, and I'm sorry, I'm losing your assistant's name. Anyway, with the list of things you just shared with us, is Annapolis the focus, or is Arundel Mills or another venue outside of the city a focus? Hope, I'm sorry, I lost your name for a moment, Ms. Stewart, because I couldn't think of your last name. But was that list of things that Conference and Visitors Bureau is doing focused on the city or the county?
Well, they take a balanced approach, and so they promote the city, but they also promote the other areas in the county as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that they are under pressure from a lot of demands around the county. The perception sort of is that they put more focus on Annapolis than the northern part of the county. So they are working to balance both. But I do think, and we can send you more details, and I think it's a good idea to have them come into a meeting to kind of talk more about what their plans are and maybe why they didn't accept Eric's request for a grant. But they do have a whole media plan for putting ads into both regional and local magazines. They, as Steve mentioned, they're launching winterinannapolis.com. They're doing a whole editorial site on Annapolis during the holidays, and we're hoping to have the mayor provide a video about why Annapolis is safe. One of their taglines is following on the mayor. It's spread the joy, not the germs. So, and they're creating a holiday guide too, which will list events, safety guidance, overnight stays, and where to shop.
Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Rice and Stewart. Yeah, and I guess at this point, it's good to hear those things. But I guess what, at least for me, I could really use is really, I guess if there's anything you feel they should be doing more to help us out, and because I think you're much more familiar than I am in terms of what they're doing for not only us but other jurisdictions, because this body and ultimately the council, we could send a letter or even a resolution or speak to our state representatives if we need to. But certainly we shouldn't be doing that unless we can establish a clear need or deficit in what they're providing for the city. And for that, really going to rely on your judgment and also Mr. Evans in terms of what's needed. And so I do think if you have anything else to add to that, first of all, I guess, please do let us know.
I'm just going to add in that it's important to remember they're also going through a leadership transition, and we're being told that they expect to have a new executive director on by the end of the year. So I think when they get a new executive director, it would be the best time to begin this conversation.
Did they get more clarification? Alderman Savage, I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, yeah, just one quick thing. Is I do think time is kind of the essence, though, in this case. I don't think we can necessarily wait for them to bring on a new ED, because the holiday season is going to be starting, well, later this month, really, I guess, if not already. And so, yeah, time is of the essence in that regard. That's I am going to share that stress of time is of the essence. End of the year misses the biggest shopping period for retailers. So, colleagues, if you are amenable to this, what we can do, yes, Alderman Finlayson.
I would like to add that we have more than one shopping district in the city. Forest Drive is a shopping district also that seems to get little or no attention. Most of you realize I'm working on a map of Forest Drive that will be titled Shop Forest Drive, that will simply list all of the businesses. And thank you, Hope, for that very extensive list of the businesses that are on Forest Drive. But we don't do anything to attract attention and market those businesses. And I think that should be on their radar also. And secondly, I would like to propose that we invite SOFO to come to our meetings to give a report on their efforts. We have the Downtown Business Partnership with Mr. Evans coming to give us a regular report. I think it would be only appropriate that we invite SOFO, South Forest Drive Association, to come in also and share with us what they're doing.
I'll second that.
As a Forest Drive representative, also agree. Colleagues, what I am wondering is if you would be amenable to some issues that we can bring up to visit Annapolis and the turning down of this grant money. I know this one seems a little wishy-washy, but it puts us as public record of being concerned. Would you be willing to sign on to a letter that I can write expressing concern for grant money getting turned down for Annapolis businesses and business partnerships? Is that something you both would be amenable to?
Yeah.
I would say yes, but as Ms. Stewart and Mr. Rice have indicated, there may be a good reason for it. I don't know. I would think that maybe a discussion first with the acting director. Okay. A dialogue first to find out what the story is before we put it officially in writing. I mean, you can preface it by saying, we're sending a letter, but I just want to have this discussion with you.
Okay. Takia, do we have the authority or the power to, or do I have the authority or power to, as chair, to bring a special committee meeting into place?
A special meeting?
You're on
meeting.
Oh, sorry. You said a special meeting?
Pardon me?
You said a special meeting?
Do I have the authority to call one, or do I have the authority to request a vote from the committee for one?
Yes.
Is that how the needs to go? Call for a vote?
No, you don't have to have a vote.
Okay. Colleagues, in that case, what I would also like to do then is I will coordinate with you by email for scheduling and see if we can actually get a representative from Visit Annapolis in for a special meeting before the holiday shopping season. I'm actually going to go ahead and target sometime next week, schedule permitting, if that is acceptable to you guys.
It works for me. We'll just have to figure out a date and time, but yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Alderman Finlayson, does that work for you as well?
It does. I'm not sure it warrants a meeting. This is a special meeting that we're having now, correct?
Yes, but this is a special meeting taking the place of a normal meeting due to the holiday being at our normal meeting time.
Oh, okay. So instead of, so you're moving our normal meeting up is what you're suggesting?
Yes, this is the special meeting because we had to move it up due to some conflicts of schedules and the holiday, but I'm talking an additional separate meeting focused entirely on bringing in Visit Annapolis along with, if you guys are amenable, South Forest Drive Association, I do need to connect with that organization and Downtown Partnership as well. Do you think all three would be worth it, or do you believe that we should just bring in the Visit Annapolis group? Alderman Savage?
I was just saying, I do think it's a good idea, especially, but just in light of the upcoming holiday and the winter season, as Mr. Evans was saying, it's an important time for retail. And we do have some retail on Forest Drive as well. So I don't know, I think it's certainly worth it to get their feedback early as opposed to later, so we know if there's anything else we need to do to push for resources.
Sounds good. All right, colleagues. So that is what that is our outcome for after this meeting. I will try and find a good time for us next week to schedule something with the Visit Annapolis crew, the South Forest Drive organization, and the Downtown Board Partnership.
May you reach out to the Conference and Visitors Bureau to see when they're available also?
Could you send that to me by email so I have a whole coherent list?
No, the Conference and Visitors Bureau. That's who you want to meet with, right?
The Visit Annapolis.
Or Visit Annapolis. Okay.
Yes, Visit Annapolis. To one, get information on why the grant was turned down, and two, to find out what are they doing specifically for our city, both for downtown and other businesses.
Okay.
Excellent. Colleagues, do we have any other issues that would like to be brought forward for general discussion? Alderwoman Tierney?
Yeah, thank you. I just to amend on the discussion about Visit Annapolis. Ms. Stewart mentioned it, but if you presently go on their website, the first thing you see is Annapolis shopping, and they have a virtual tour of the shopping, and they are declaring how safe it is. Having experienced as a previous business owner working with them, it's a squeaky wheel, if you will. They get a lot of their money from businesses. They offer sort of this a la carte menu of how you want to be presented on their website if you do weddings or if you do that. So I just wanted to explain that it isn't 100% of them reaching out. It's a relationship with the businesses. And so, but that is a valid point about Forest Drive. I mean, I understand that there are more businesses on Forest Drive than there are on Main Street if I'm not, yeah. So that's, and SOFO has an incredible amount of energy from their, representative, who knows her name. I can't place her name right yet, but so anyways, I just wanted to just elaborate a little bit on that.
Jennifer, yes. Yeah, she's amazing.
Thank you, Alderman Tierney. All right, colleagues, any additional thoughts or opinions for the discussion? Seeing none, that is the final item on our agenda. Can I get a motion to conclude and adjourn our meeting?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and stay safe.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you, too.
Bye.